there is the broader question of who watches podcasts.
Who watches them all the way through? Yeah.
Well, no, but specifically like who like sits and opens a video
the
and
visuals,
watches. Yeah, like I mean, it's good that we launched with video because that's kind of the entry requirement for 2024. Like every audio podcast is expected to have a video component.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I mostly listen to podcasts.
You just strapping in the audio.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of what they're meant to be. But yeah, since we have a camera and since we have audio equipment,
might as well try it.
Yeah, might as well hit the ground running, so to speak.
Yeah. I think it makes people more likely to watch. I mean, if I saw something that was more, it was a video rather than just a blank audio. I mean, if it was some niche topic,
that's the idea, right?
Really interested in, I might just listen to the audio. Otherwise, I'd probably just watch it. Yeah.
How like I think the ideal basically is kind of what Spotify does, where the app kind of lets you both listen and watch. Kind of at your choice. Yeah. So like you can close it, like minimize it, and just get the audio, or open it up. And the video's right there. So like if they're, if Jamie's pulling something up and they're showing it like in the video,
you can see the corner video. Yeah. We kind of did that with the motorcycle thing.
Yeah,
the first one.
It's a pain to sync up though.
Does seem like it'd be kind of annoying. Yeah.
Like I'm trying to keep the overhead. Like I'm trying to not give myself too much homework so that there's like minimal friction for us to just keep doing this and kind of seeing.
I wonder if more people would watch if you just put random porn in the corner and just left it on the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube wouldn't be too cool with that, but but there was something I think like Lemon Party would be doing. They'd have like a TV in the background, and apparently like YouTube rules you could almost
so if it's
get
like
away.
Diegetic porn, like what's that film word, like non-diegetic or diegetic, where it's like
I'm not a film head. You'd know better than me.
Things that are like not in the, if you're like watching Pulp Fiction or something and they're like the characters in the movie are like listening to a radio.
Yeah, it's so like every song is actually being heard by
the characters. Yeah.
Whereas, I think that's in The Big Lebowski, right?
Yeah, I think that's diegetic sound, if I remember right.
Maybe, but
if anyone, I'm sure some people watching will be familiar.
Leave it in the comments.
Familiar with this.
Let us know that we're not just screaming into the void here
about film terminology. So I think like I actually did take a film course. Like I remember non-diegetic sound is like just incidental music.
Yeah.
It's like playing in the background, but the characters aren't like aware of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it's one of these film factoids as well as I think depending on if it's diegetic or not, the licensing cost of the music is actually different.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
The other interesting one, I mean, this makes more sense. There's like the recording licensing fee, and then there's like the music licensing fee. So like that's why covers are super popular in movies.
That's
because it's cheaper.
I was literally just gonna say that. I was like, what if you just had someone cover the song? Then can you probably play it for cheaper?
Yeah, because like the actual like the score or the song license is cheaper than the recording that everyone knows.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why there are like so many covers in like the 90s and stuff, because they just didn't want to pay some huge record company.
Yeah, I mean it's
licensing
like
fee.
2 orders of magnitude. Like it's the difference between paying like $5,000 and like $500,000 for like I don't know, Michael Jackson recording or whatever.
Huge
depends on the song, of course. But
brick for that.
Yeah.
I know there's like some. I mean, probably no one even watches DVDs anymore, but there's like I remember there's some DVDs where they had to like remove songs from things. Like it was like some TV show where they'd originally had some like, Beatles song or something. And then they like weren't licensed to, like they were licensed to do it for broadcast, but then they couldn't like resell it or something. Seems a bit weird. But
yeah. But the licensing stuff just seems like I mean, it's how lawyers make their money too, right? It's a whole industry around intellectual property.
Well, some
just
people
a bit of a silly concept to begin with, but
there is no intellectual property. Nah, that's wasn't that the Adbusters slogan? Was like their intellectual property is like your entertainment value or something. I mean,
so
they're
what's
basically
Adbusters?
It was just like anti-corporate kind of situationist magazine.
Okay.
They would like use a lot of those like detornment or like changing, like using well-known copyrighted images and content in like subversive ways, or like changing the message or something to express something along those lines.
So sorry, the thing was your intellectual property is their,
or like the reverse, like their intellectual property should be your like entertainment value or whatever, just to do with as you please.
Yeah. I mean,
well, they're trying to like Mickey Mouse. The earliest version of Mickey Mouse just came into public domain.
Same with Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, it was I think a year or two earlier.
Did you watch that movie? They made the like what is it, Song of Blood and
Honey
or whatever?
Nah, I'm not gonna watch that. I mean, I'm sure it made some money, but I don't know how enjoyable that would be to actually sit through.
I think of that era also was Cocaine Bear. Did you watch Cocaine
no,
Bear?
I would probably rather watch Cocaine Bear.
I heard that was good actually.
It's good. Yeah. I think that's the kind of movie that, like, I don't know, like the trailer. I saw the trailer for that, and it seemed a bit like gaggy, right?
Like self-aware, basically.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit too self-aware. And I was like, if you just made that movie, but it was just like white knuckle, super serious, like just no, like if it wasn't ironic, I think it'd probably be pretty good.
I think it's a fine line to ride. Like, I think like being self-aware is a good thing for some of these kind of, B-tier movies or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I don't know. It seemed like very gaggy, like almost like comedy sound effects level.
Yeah.
Cocaine Bear.
I mean, it's in the title, right? Like,
yes. I mean, like, couldn't you just
making Cocaine Bear in earnest?
Couldn't you? Yeah. I mean, I think that would
and gritty reboots.
That would probably have a chance of being pretty good if you just like made it really in earnest and ran with that idea to the point where it just became like some hopeless situation. Like more cocaine just keeps falling.
I mean, it's just such a ridiculous premise to begin with. Like, you can't, like, how could you even like frame that earnestly?
I think if you delivered it super seriously, like it would probably be good and probably more funnier as well.
Yeah. But
I haven't seen it, so I have no actual idea what it is as a project or.
Heard it's good, like. But yeah. I haven't seen it either. Yeah, so
I haven't seen any recent movies, honestly. I'm trying to think of the last kind of just given up on film in general.
Or pop culture
in general. Yeah, pretty much.
So on that note, I had a few questions to ask you here. P. Diddy freak-offs, Boom or Doom, Mr. Isis.
P. Diddy, what? What?
Do you want me to repeat the question?
Please repeat the question. Yeah.
P. Diddy freak-offs, Boom or Doom?
Boom or Doom? I have no idea how to answer that. Yeah. What's is this like a poll or something? Is this like making the rounds? Like, is this
Yeah, I mean, I'm combining two pop culture news items.
Okay,
I think everyone in the US is acutely aware of.
I'm aware of the P. Diddy thing.
You're aware of the P. Diddy thing?
Puff Daddy is, I still think of him. Yeah. His name is Puff Daddy. Before he changed his name to Diddy or whatever. Yeah.
You know what the freak-offs are? Or
the freak-offs?
It was basically what he was referring to, whatever shenanigans he was up to.
Yeah, what he was arrested for. Yeah.
Yeah, those were the so-called freak-offs.
I mean, I guess he's awaiting some trial at the moment, or
yeah, basically.
Well, didn't he try to like flee or escape or something? I
don't know.
Okay, I could be thinking of someone else here.
I don't know if he tried to escape. But yeah, like it sounds like he's in very hot water, and I know there's potentially some tie-in to some of the, sex scandals from earlier years, which maybe I'd avoid naming by name due to YouTube algorithm stuff.
Oh, really?
At the
would
moment.
Would they care about something like that? Or
yeah, apparently there's still some words out there that you get punished for saying
for spoken language.
Yeah. Like spreading misinformation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Kind of algorithmically.
But do they have like some voice recognition software where they like pick up?
Well, yeah, like all our episodes are basically they started getting subtitled automatically, which is kind of nice. I mean, but it's like
so it like algorithms it based on what we talk about.
Yeah.
What if we just like full null ate it and you just like constantly repeated keywords for like an entire
then
episode.
You get like punished by the algorithm, right?
For having objectionable content or
just
marketing
even for referencing stuff, I think, right?
Okay. But what if presumably you could reference things that are popular that would boost the algorithm?
I mean, I don't know if it works in the positive direction. They might strictly be just like...
What if it works in a positive direction?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean...
Like, we could just come up with keywords and just repeat them for like an hour.
We could, yeah.
Or just like Taylor Swift, P. Diddy... I don't know.
It's important to consider that questions can serve various purposes beyond simply seeking information. They can also be used to challenge assumptions.
Can be used to harass strangers. Is one thing you can do with questions. Challenge strangers to reflect on their mental problems.
That's enough, Mr. Gemini.
What was that?
It's kind of weird. So it's like the Google Voice Assistant on my phone, right? But it does get triggered sometimes, but it's funny that it chose to chime in.
Oh, did it just automatically respond? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it gets triggered by like, if you say, okay, Google, right? Yeah, so there it goes.
So it like replies it to ambient conversations or?
Well, I guess something triggered it, but it's basically always listening.
Always listening in, recording.
Have you noticed like, I've noticed even stuff like on my screen, like if I'm like looking at an image on like, Line, which is like the Japanese messenger app, which should have no like plug-in
connection to like
Google,
Western Google or something.
Yeah. Well, I know, maybe it does, but like it'd be something like someone sends me an image of something online. So there's like no text attached to it. It's just strictly what's
a random
on my screen.
Static image or something. Yeah.
But like if it's like a product, then like that will like start being advertised to me or something.
Yeah, like
even though I like never
seeds or something.
I never Googled it. I never like
you just passively viewed.
Yeah, I just viewed it. It was just on my screen.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a selectable text.
It was just something that came up.
It was literally just an image, right?
So just like force feeding you images and forcing you to
so it's like
react to them or not.
Parsing like this was an image from like a friend or someone, like someone sending something to me. So or something mentioned in the conversation definitely starts popping up in your advertisements and stuff. Like
interesting.
I haven't noticed this at all.
I haven't super noticed anything. I've noticed a lot of that like Thai baby hippo or whatever.
What?
There's like some viral Thai hippo, like a juvenile hippo.
Okay.
That's like popping up everywhere.
This is news to me. What's this Thai hippo up to?
Just dicking around in a zoo, I guess. It's just cavorting or frolicking. I want to test this keyword thing. Like, I wonder if we could like boost the videos by just literally having an hour-long episode of just repeating keywords.
I mean,
and like sharing. Probably better to prepare that in advance and then just see how it goes.
We could, yeah. I mean, I think the more organic way to do it is to just talk about all the topical.
Just talk about them anyway. Yeah. But what if I think like just putting it to the test, like just brute force spamming it, like just an hour of back and forth with like, I don't know, Taylor Swift, P. Diddy, whatever is trending on Twitter.
I mean,
just like repeat it.
You see how like, so let's like role play this.
Yeah.
So theoretically you say the like positive keywords, the one that the algorithm like promotes, right?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, right? So you just choose
so let's say you say that, right?
Yeah.
So let's say the algorithm like parses the podcast, and sees all these buzzy keywords. And so, okay, what does the algorithm do? The algorithm will show your thumbnail to more people, right? So, okay, now we have like more impressions on our podcast, where presumably we like aren't even having a conversation, we're just repeating keywords.
Just repeating keywords, yeah.
Okay, and so more randos, people who aren't familiar with the podcast, they see the thumbnail and maybe they click on it, right? Okay, they click on it and they see it's a podcast about nothing, right? Like it's just like us repeating keywords, right?
We could include like flashing up images in the sidebar too, right?
But like, so now we need people to flashing up images.
Well, couldn't you like have an image popping up every time we mention something that's like trending or something?
Yeah, but so I'm confused where you're going. Like, so you need if the algorithm boosts us for saying keywords, then we would also need like that will get eyes on the content, but it won't necessarily mean playthrough, right?
Okay.
And so if the algorithm sees that, hey, like 10,000 people clicked on this video and then they all exited out after 10 seconds.
Oh,
then
so
the
algorithm's total engagement. Yeah.
So like do the topical keyword stuff that gets promoted by the algorithm. We can talk about how everyone should be getting vaccinated or whatever.
Getting ivermectin or
no, not
can we
that
not
one.
say that? Is that a forbidden word?
Well, it's okay now, but
it's not a. Is that like a?
It was for a while.
Territory.
It was. Okay, yeah. I mean, for a while it was like you couldn't mention it, right? Yeah. Like it was like, but then a month later everything dies down and you can have the exact same conversation and not get canceled for it, right?
I wonder if you could like appeal these things, like if you just worded things like you're talking about some Russian dude named like Ivan Mektin or something.
Well,
like
have you tried appealing anything to any of the big platforms? Like, first of all, it'll take you 2 hours to even find the contact page because they hide it behind layers of FAQs and like they're really trying to deter you from.
They're trying to deter you from appealing.
Didn't you lose your like Gmail, right?
Oh, that was actually hacked though.
Yeah, but like you tried to contact anyone in Google.
Yeah, it wasn't gonna happen.
It back, right?
Fortunately, I had someone behind the scenes to
exactly
assist with that.
So okay, your channel gets shadow banned or banned, like straight up banned for talking about something that
Ivan Mektin,
or whatever, right?
The horse-themed poet who,
or maybe entryways made of Italian flatbreads.
Isn't that like that's an interesting topic where like, wasn't there like some like anti-Semitism where they're like developing like a new language to be anti-Semitic or something?
Well, I guess
like
you're talking about like the 1488 stuff or whatever, right?
I
like HH or whatever.
I'm blanking so hard on the specifics here, but I remember there's like some. It was more like on Twitter, I think, where they're like these like extreme, far right, big. Groups.
But, okay, so they were using codes.
Yeah, they're trying to use like very kind of obscure sounding dog codes. Whistle or? Yeah, well, in a way, just to talk about it without like without getting banned or getting arrested.
Yeah,
or whatever.
So I mean that's been going on for as long as there's been.
Oh, there's a Facebook one too where it was something to do with like. Like referring to crimes related to children with like fried chicken or so. I don't know.
Yeah.
Presumably they thought that like some people were like sincerely.
But like there's the email, right? Where it's like the hacked emails from I believe Hillary's server where they're talking about delivering pizza and pasta to the White House, right?
Yeah.
And like, we found a map on a napkin or whatever. Like,
oh, is that what that whole pizza place thing was about?
Yeah, they just thought we're being very careful to avoid mentioning it.
To not talk about.
It's
Is that something you can't
still
even
can't talk about?
You can't
it, yeah.
objectively even discuss that.
I mean, you can, but like
it's gonna
now it's going to be on your channel.
On your
right?
channel. Oh wow. So YouTube is taking a
it's an
soft
election
censorship stance, I guess. Okay,
soft, no, pretty hard.
Pretty hard. Yeah.
I mean, I think in the last like 4 or 5 years, the bolts have definitely been tightening on all of this.
Interesting. Yeah. I guess I just haven't tried to like share any content really on YouTube before, so I haven't super paid mind to it.
Yeah. Or I mean, any pop culture like stuff in general, right?
That is like controversial.
Yeah.
They're sort of shadow banning it, or
Well, I mean, I think neither of us have particularly like engaged on that level about anything hot topic like that, really, right? I mean,
we have talked about the store Hot Topic from
we have, but
the clothing store,
but
I don't know if that counts.
I don't think that's too controversial at the moment. But I mean, certainly I enjoy steering clear of politics and dumb culture, and I think that's one of the benefits of living in Japan is you can escape.
You can pretend it's not in your it's not as in your face.
It's not in your face at all. I mean,
in the same way. I mean, if you turn on the internet, then you're gonna get social media hit.
Do you know what Boom or Doom was referencing?
No, what was that? No? What's Boom or Doom?
So I'm not. I'll spare everyone the impression of the guy, but so the guy's called.
Is this one of the current candidates or something?
No. It's even dumber than that.
It's even dumber.
AJ and Big Justice. Is this ringing a bell?
No.
Costco guys.
Nah.
These are the hottest guys on the internet at the moment.
Right now.
Yeah.
For
producing brain dead dog shit TikTok content.
Oh, just TikTokers? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, they're basically reviewing like Costco food items. And so the two archetypal food items are the double chunk chocolate cookie.
Sounds pretty good.
And
could do honestly, cookie right now.
It's pretty crazy. It's actually like 800 calories, which is kind of amazing.
It's kind of a mountain hike in itself, right?
Yeah. And then the chicken bake. Which is like a kind of stuffed bread with.
Sounds good.
Yeah, everything sounds good when you're hungry.
When you're hungry, it's like you want to put the cookie inside the chicken bake and then eat them at the same time.
Damn, I think you just broke the algorithm.
Yeah.
Well, you're on the wrong platform. You should be
on TikTok eating cookies and chicken bakes.
Yeah.
TikTok kind of gives me like radio vibes where it seems like content that like, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, people would be like doing on a radio station, if that makes any sense, because radio is not really visual, but I think a lot of people are using it in weirdly radio-like ways or something, where I think back in the day, there would be these like weird little advertising blurbs or something on the radio, or like people doing weird challenges or something. A lot more
interesting. Yeah, I mean, like the one that comes to mind is hold your Wii for a Wii, like that radio challenge. Do you remember that one?
Oh, it was a challenge on the radio.
Yeah, it was like a radio contest where basically like don't urinate and the last person to hold out wins. But the reason it like went viral is because like a lady died from it.
Oh, from her kidney disease or something. Yeah.
But yeah, like I guess the radio was the sort of the battleground for those sorts of dumb challenges, I guess. But
well, yeah, I mean, people
now it's like kids giving each other Tourette's via social media.
Yeah,
have you heard about this?
Giving Tourette's. Oh yeah, it's like catching contagious Tourette's or whatever.
Basically, yeah.
It's like an identity. Yeah.
Well, like I don't think it's an identity. I think it's like kind of a neurological thing where you just imitate. Well, yeah, I mean, like we're sitting in interestingly similar ways, right? Like it's just kind of like social contagion, right?
Well, also, like if you're trying to maintain posture while sitting on a bed with no back support, you kind of have to like balance. I don't know if that's social so much as like I literally don't have any other than like falling back here, which I could do, but
I mean like other stuff as well. Like
I'm actually pretty tired.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe I can adjust here as well to.
It's fine. Well, I think it is good to like move around a bit during these too. So
yeah.
don't get like too static there. You know, it's.
Yeah, well, whatever. You know, we're burning the midnight oil here,
midnight
trying
calories.
to bring this.
So I need that chicken dump. I want to call it a chicken dump. Dump your chicken hard drive into the pot pie and then stir it with the cookie. My brain is just broken here from lack of actual calories. So
we'll
want to dump contents of the chicken hard drive into your pot pie folder and then unzip it. And
so fun fact:
bake it in the
in the Japanese Costco, we don't have the chicken bake. We have the bulgogi beef bake.
Okay, have you tried that?
No.
I want to try that now too. Sounds good.
Yeah,
Costco. I haven't been to. All anyone talks about with them is hot dogs. I haven't.
Well,
been to,
yeah, it's like the food court, right? Is kind of the like
American food holdout.
Yeah, it's like but what do you call it? There's a term for it in the sales or merchandising stuff. It's the item that basically brings people into the store even though you're losing money on it.
The killer app, is that what they?
No, that's not it, but kind of similar idea.
My brain is switching like computer lingo with baking lingo here.
Yeah, okay. Well, in any case,
what's the killer app for this bakery? It's like an apple crumble or something. Yeah,
but yeah, for the truffle bakery, it's I mean nothing. They're making bank there on everything. Actually, come to think of it,
there's no vaporware being sold there. It's just pure croissants all the way up.
Yeah, and pretty inflated
vaporwave croissants
prices, but tasty.
Pretty good. Yeah,
it's tasty. Yeah.
I haven't been to. Trying to think if I even have been to Costco anytime within recent-ish memory.
I haven't been to Costco here. Last I went was in Canada.
Maybe 5 years ago or something, but not in recent time, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the thing here, like everything in Japan is small, including fridges. So like I don't know what I would do with like club-sized items.
Giant items, like Sam's Club, giant packs or something.
So
I would just go to the food court and just have like a meal or something.
Yeah, so so like you have to drive out there, right? Like it's that's kind of the kind of thing with Costco. It's a warehouse out in the middle of nowhere, which is. So we'd probably need to go up to Saitama for it or something.
I'd be down to do that. Do a day trip just to get a hot dog or something.
Could do, random adventure for sure. Yeah, so boom or doom. What else is going on in the news? So I was trying to get some pop culture
traction by algorithmically triggering the positive algorithm.
Yeah, I mean that's a byproduct. I think it would also just be interesting to get your take on.
Takes on
I mean, is Skibidi toilet art?
Skibidi toilet, yeah. Skibidi toilet is interesting. I think I've only watched a few episodes, but it seemed interesting and inventive. So it's like something I wish had been around when I was younger. I probably would have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But isn't that just popular with like real children or something?
Basically, probably like 10, 12-year-olds or whatever. I don't know if it's
younger.
how popular even now.
I thought it was even younger, like 8-year-olds or 7-year-olds or something.
Yeah, playing iPad babies,
playing Minecraft,
watching Skibidi toilet,
Roblox or whatever.
Yeah.
What is Roblox? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, a bit. It's kind of, I mean, it is kind of Minecraft-esque, I guess, but it's kind of like, blocky graphics, open world, chat room.
But it's like, okay, so it's a chat room or a game or
I think there's like mini games, but the main thing is just you're this like Lego-ish looking character walking around.
So it's like stylized blocky.
Yeah,
like it's not because it just like sucks resolution.
No, it's kind of, it's kind of just intentional kind of cartoon-ishness.
Is Minecraft like that too?
Yeah, Minecraft is even more so. It's like 8-bit or 16-bit.
So it's like someone made a decision to deliberately lo-fi it or stylize it that way.
It's kind of funny because like you can replace the textures as well, and there's like some. I mean, I don't know if it's popular.
Have you actually like played it?
Yeah, I played Minecraft quite a bit actually.
Okay,
Minecraft's quite cool. I mean, like
you're just like building, so it's kind of like construction.
Well, it's
Lego.
a lot of stuff, right? Like it could be like pure creative mode where you just have unlimited blocks and you just literally design and build stuff to your leisure. Or you can also have like a survival mode, like RPG kind of experience where it's more about, like managing resources and surviving the night when the monsters come out and whatnot.
There's monsters, or
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's all like procedurally generated, right? So it's like
cool. It's just unpredictable.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's what's the word? It's deterministic. Like for a given seed, you will always generate the same world. But if you if you like create a new seed, then you have a completely different world. There's like biomes and there's pretty like dramatic landscapes, and it's quite like hats off to Notch. I think he sold it to Microsoft. Notch was the original creator, which was I think a Swedish guy. And he created this game and basically was running it for I think 2 or 3 years and then sold it to Microsoft for like 20 million or something. Yeah.
But it's like a MMORPG, or is
Not
it?
really. It's technically a sandbox.
Okay, yeah.
It's a sandbox with a survival mode. Oh, but yeah, there is multiplayer, which is also very cool. But yeah, I mean, lots of cool stuff came out of Minecraft. Honestly, I'm out of the loop on it, so I'm repeating stories from like 10 years ago on it. But someone designed a functional CPU inside Minecraft.
Oh, I heard something like this. Like, I heard people were building like weird things or something.
Like someone made someone made Pokemon Red inside Minecraft, so like you could actually play Pokemon Red.
Okay, yeah.
Like there's some hacks that had to go into getting that to work, but essentially, like, you had a full-on Game Boy inside the game that was built using like, a million blocks of like electronic circuitry in the game.
Okay, yeah.
But like it's kind of crazy, right? You could like I don't know, it's a pretty powerful like sandbox, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a crazy time investment too, just doing that. But yeah, it is pretty cool.
That's exactly the kind of thing that should be landing you jobs, because if you can do that, then like you're
probably do a lot, right?
Kind of a genius, basically, right? Like you're able to thinking
outside the box, right? Yeah, it's interesting.
I was chatting, I can't remember, maybe it's with Sanath as well, but we're talking about like coding interviews as programmers, and he told me that, I think it was him, but the gist is that there's still companies out there hiring programmers with like coding assignments, right? Like coding challenges where you're asked to solve.
They give you like some problem to solve, and
but you're not supposed to use AI, right?
Okay,
which is kind of like silly. I mean, I was thinking about this. It's essentially like okay, so the noun is Luddite.
Yeah.
Luddite. So what is the adjective version of that? Ludidical?
Luddites. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there is a adjective for that.
But in any case, like it's kind of silly to like forbid people from using AI at this point, because I think the name of the game is going to be who can use AI most effectively, right?
Yeah, or most interestingly.
Yeah.
Another way maybe to look at it.
And like, I mean, I just did this, like we're trying to throw a party for next week, and like that flyer I showed you, that was generated with AI, right? And basically me just iterating over and over with ChatGPT and trying to like nail the theme, nail the aesthetic, like what's like, that's all very deliberate, right? It didn't just like pop out that way, right?
Pop out fresh cooked or whatever.
And that's a skill, right? And so
there's some AI artists that I follow that are producing amazing stuff. There's this one guy, Lanny Quarles, but again, he's using it in very deliberate ways.
Yeah, I think you mentioned him on an earlier episode. Actually,
a huge amount of thought into his prompts and other.
Lanny.
Like I can send it over later.
I want to pull it up just to get an idea.
I don't know if it's currently.
Yeah, it popped up. Yeah, he's clearly famous here.
Some of his.
So it's just like stuff like this or something.
Oh no, I'll show you later. Like it might be Nah, it's different.
No?
I'll show you later, but he's putting, looks a little bit closer. Some of the stuff he posts on his Facebook is just really like he'll post like, I don't know, 100 straight, stuff like that. Like he'll post like 100 straight images of like just some like entire planet he's like imagined or something that's is clearly coming from these like incredibly detailed prompts. But he uses he'll use like very specific sets of material to draw from for like what he's clearly drawing. Probably, yeah. I mean, again, like there's, I mean, he has, you know, hundreds and hundreds of sets of these things. So
it's cool. It reminds me of I don't know, just like surrealist type stuff. But he has a few styles I see. Like some of the stuff is like very surrealistic.
Yeah, like this is like some recent.
But this is that's pretty crazy. It's like out of a movie or something.
Recent stuff he's been doing is
kind
like
of Star Trek vibes or
is
something.
Like this. Well, I mean, that's the thing is like where you're kind of like, where is he drawing on from this? And like you kind of, I think that's sort of the appeal is like he forces you to like actually dig deeper into what he's, you know, drawing on.
That's quite cool.
Drawing on for these kind of images, right?
Yeah, I mean, even to get AI to spit out this cohesive of stuff is like impressive because I mean, I was like, basically the flyer I made was okay, it's a sunset and there's like the Tokyo skyline and there's Yoyogi Park, and I wanted like the opening of the park, like the clearing, and I wanted people gathering there, and then I wanted like a tree. But like even managing pretty like simple elements it's hard to get it to do it consistently. Like,
well, this dude drops like a new set like every few days, and it's like it'll be like 100 images, and then just like all jaw dropping. Yeah, it's like, damn, this is like pretty mind blowing stuff, right? Yeah. So I mean, there's creators that are doing it at that level. Yeah, but
and hats off to them.
As with a lot of things, I mean, there's sort of, I would say they're probably kind of the exception, but
I mean. By definition, I guess, right? Yeah. But I mean,
I always thought I thought that idea of giving like Google employees or something like challenges to see. There's that like there's that strategy where like ARGs or like alternate reality games or like recruiting strategies,
like Cicada 3153 or whatever.
There some things where they thought it was like actually some company recruiting who could solve it.
Well, I'm blanking on the exact name. It was like Cicada something, and it like popped up a few times over the course of a few years. And I think the theory was it was CIA.
It was CIA recruitment, to see who could solve it. Yeah.
But it's certainly cool and very also like movie plot worthy.
Yeah, it sounds like a movie plot.
Yeah.
Well, that's like something where that's like it's like, is the universe just that? You know, it's like, is it actually like if you can solve if you can solve actual reality, maybe you get invited to a different level or something. Yeah, could be something.
And there is that element, like so I don't know, can transition a bit here to this point where I've been like in mindfulness, in doing meditation, basically. Basically, the gist of it is that anything can be an object of meditation, and if you focus on anything and like let it dissolve, then you're left with like the perfect clarity of awareness, right? Like you're left with just the light by which experience is illuminated, right? Yeah. And so like you can do that with presumably anything, right? You could be, you know, full of rage and about to like commit homicide or something, and if you notice that clearly, then it will just dissolve into blissful awareness, right? Yeah. And so it's kind of the practice of doing that all the time to everything, right? And I know in my particular case, like not identifying with thought, which is a pretty insidious tendency.
There's like some Raja Yoga stuff. It's like kind of similar to that as well.
But all these practices kind of tend to point to the same thing, I guess, right?
I just think it'd be funny if there's like if like reality was like some weird recruitment strategy, but it's like not what people would think. Like maybe someone doing something completely ridiculous is like the actual person that solves it.
Well, I think like I've shown you that meme, or maybe you showed it to me. It was like a 4-panel cartoon, and it was like a guy picking up like a silica gel packet, and he reads it and says, "Do not eat it," and he like shrugs and he's like eats it.
Well, no, he like quite defiantly eats it. He's like, "You can't tell me what to do," and he eats it, and then he wakes up out of the simulation.
Like, congratulations, you won the game.
You won the game, right? Yeah.
Which, man. Yeah, it's quite possible.
It could be something like that, right? It could be.
But like realistically, what could reality be, right? Like it's either like I know. So it seems to be fundamentally it has to be due to either boredom or amusement, right? The reason for anything to exist, it has to be boredom or amusement, which is kind of the same thing, right?
Right.
So, like, presumably, my sort of metaphysical theory, which I did not come up with alone, but what makes sense to me, and what has made sense to other people is, it's probably just some singularity out there, which is just pure awareness, and nothing exists apart from it, and so it like kind of creates this whole thing for it to distract itself, or to inhabit, or to simulate. Like it exists in a state where everything is known and nothing is separate, right? So like what can you do other than to go down into separateness and kind of role play this game where you forget that you're God, basically, right?
That's sort of like the L. Ron Hubbard take on what he called theta was sort of that, which was that the current situation is like a progressive losing of the game, and like the more you lose the game, sort of the deeper you get kind of trapped in it, or it's very like Gnostic kind of idea, right?
Yeah.
And he's sort of like, well, if you only had like 2 people that were losing the game, you could still maybe come up with something decent. But if you have like, a couple trillion people then all making moves at the same time, then you're going to end up with something which is maybe kind of harder to get out of, or harder to work out. So that's sort of what his take on it. If I understand it right. I mean, I might be misunderstanding it.
But so I think also like the whole Kabbalah like basically illustrates not too different of a concept than I just outlined. I'm not sure whose idea I'm plagiarizing. I didn't come up with this idea, but I think like I know it all kind of points to that essentially, right?
Right. There's some interesting takes on that where I was watching one Kabbalah related video where they were trying to describe the I guess motivations for existence, or
just of anything,
contraction into matter. And there's one that was describing it almost like a sexual thing, like it was just like different phases of ecstasy, and some of them included limitations or restrictions, which we might call matter or current existence. But everything else is still going on behind the scenes in its unconstrained form, or non-limited form. It's kind of an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, there's jumping to a tangent almost, but there was this weird phenomena where I'm going to butcher this completely, but basically around the world there is an experiment you can do that measures the speed of light, basically.
Yeah.
And at some point in the past, basically, they measured it as one thing, and then at some point suddenly everyone's measurement doing the same experiment changed. And apparently how they got out of this mess was they redefined
the constant.
They redefined the speed of light as a function of the speed of light or something. Like it became just self-referential or something. But yeah, I mean, the reason I bring that up, and if I just repeated misinformation, someone please do call me out.
I'm sure YouTube will immediately censor it. And
I don't think it's a hot button issue.
Yeah.
I think they're more concerned with right wing extremism or whatever in 2024. But
it'd be fun if they just had like random pet topics that they're like obsessive about, like, you know, I don't know, like whole milk or something, or like if they're like obsessed with like, you know, having a certain kind of like milk, and if you recommended skim milk, they would just like ban you or something.
Yeah, but then like flat Earth content was promoted for like super algorithmically boosted, basically. And why was that? Like the conspiracy theory surrounding that is that it's convenient to make conspiracy inclined people seem stupid.
Okay,
right?
yeah. So it was like bad flat Earth content?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Well, it's like they're specifically promoting a dumb idea to discredit conspiracy theorists as a whole.
Okay, but I'm not sure if they would like. That seems like pretty ineffective, because like, would other conspiracy theorists like identify with flat Earth necessarily?
But so here's the weapon. Here's how it's made into a weapon. And fun fact, the term conspiracy theorist was invented and popularized by the CIA in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like I'm taking this straight from Wikipedia. Like Wikipedia conspiracy theorist and like Command Shift F.
CIA is responsible for a lot of things.
Yeah. And so they did it. They created that label, that moniker to discredit people who question the government, right? So here's how you weaponize flat Earth, right? Like you popularize it, and every normie is going like, wow, who could be so stupid to believe this?
Yeah.
And then you bring up something like, I don't know, the Tuskegee experiments, where the U.S. government knowingly injected Black Americans with syphilis, right?
Yeah.
100% evil, 100% confirmed, right? 100% conspiracy worthy. And now that becomes associated with someone who thinks the Earth is flat.
Okay,
right?
so it's kind of like a tarring and some term for that. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
There is some term for it, but yeah.
It's interesting like how much current culture was just like created by the CIA. Like the Paris, in literary terms, like the Paris Review and Iowa Workshop were basically CIA inventions.
What is the Paris Review?
Paris Review is just a really influential literary magazine. And the entire workshop model of writing, like Iowa Writing Workshop, I mean, that's also very CIA funded and promoted to try to counter
independent
communism. Well, at the time, communism, because there's like a Soviet Writers Guild and everything.
So it was just like a methodology for how things should be published that was deliberately put into place to censor stuff.
Well, and so what they were trying to censor was like, basically like political themes in fiction, right? So if you're like, so they kind of latched onto like the art for art's sake thing. So they're like, oh, like, wouldn't it be more, I don't know, serious or whatever to like write about some, middle-aged dude having a divorce and feeling kind of weird versus like writing about labor unions or something, right?
Yeah.
Because the Soviet, Writers Guild was very much like, more stories about labor unions and building factories and, centralizing labor production and, overcoming corporations and stuff, right? So they wanted to really, the CIA was like, well, how can we corner the market on literary expression?
Yeah.
So that's what they started teaching. They're like, go really deep into, people's thoughts as they have a divorce, or like, go shopping, or like, look at a sunset or something, rather than talking about, economic theories, which might be a dangerous topic to start talking about, right?
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, like, that's still pretty much the main model now
of like how publishers work.
Well, yeah, if you want to get like a MFA degree, like they're still pretty much going to take that, tack. And
right.
And most of the famous writers, I mean, there's like Marilyn Robinson, who was running the workshop for a long time. I mean, that's like her fiction is like that. It's like some, I don't know, elderly minister having a crisis of faith, or like, everyday events in a small town, or like, small scale family dynamics. I mean, it's just things that are very like
mundane, trivial, pedestrian.
And I mean, they're very like,
small-minded,
embroidered very nicely and threaded in prose very nicely. But then it's like, oh wait, who's, what's the economic apparatus behind states? I mean, like it's never gonna, touch anything like that. So
well, I mean, again, that's kind of the whole crazy thing behind P. Diddy and the entryway of Italian flatbread stuff.
Well, it's like a smokescreen diversion kind of stuff, you think? Or
no. So I think that's actually the like the world is run by some, I don't know, nasty people. I don't know how else to say, like the sort of the orchestration of power is done in pretty despicable ways. And I think that's the closest. I mean, like it seems, just by how that was handled, is by the news and pop culture, and how the whole thing is kind of quietly smoothed over, and no one really went to jail, and just a lot of the messaging around it was like very like, oh, let's forget about it, right? It's like nothing to see here, right? So it seems like that's actually threatening to the power structure, I guess. I don't know. And I think that apparently the P. Diddy stuff ties into that. Like that was of that same world. And I think the funny thing, the guy who famously did not unalive himself, right? While in prison, P. Diddy is held in that same prison.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So like, funny how that works, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on there? Right?
I wonder if those two were like connected anyway. Well, seems like they would have crossed paths at some point. Yeah. Probably. Yeah.
Probably very much in the same world, I guess, right? But I don't know. Maybe I'm just a lunatic conspiracy theorist believing misinformation and fake news. Well, but
at the end of the day, I mean, there's only so many certain kinds of prisons, I guess, too. So there might have been some coincidence, but who knows?
But I mean, so the theory is that he will flip, and like more information could come out of all this.
Interesting, but
we'll see. I mean, the funny thing is at the end of the day, nothing will change. I think that's kind of the common theme. Like, I'm as idealistic as like I desperately want for the Great Awakening to happen and the Enlightenment to spread, but no, then kind of we live in Skibidi toilet reality.
Skibidi reality.
Skibidi reality. Indeed.
Isn't that Russian or something? Like, I thought the creator is like from Russia. I could be wrong here. I might be blanking on
I don't see why not, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything particularly like there's nothing wrong with that content, and as you mentioned, it's made for kids. And I think, as we talked about it some time ago, like the most rational take I heard on it was that this is just this generation, like their version of trolling in Gary's Mod or whatever, or not trolling. What's the word here? But just like dicking around in Gary's Mod. Like the content I was watching on YouTube when I was 11, 12 years old wasn't light years different.
Light years removed, right? Yeah.
Like it was more or less on the same stupid kind of kid entertainment level, but now we're just seeing it packaged in the form of short, what's called short clip video.
Reels or whatever.
Yeah, like reels or TikTok or whatever. Which, admittedly is a pretty ADD'd out way of packaging content. But, that's what it is. It's the world we live in right now. So don't take too much. I don't know. Yeah, but certainly lots of bottom of the barrel content, but I don't think Skibidi Toilet necessarily is that. I think AJ and Big Justice are much
dumber. That's like the Costco pie or whatever.
The Costco guys.
The Costco pie, chicken pie or whatever. Chicken. Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah. All I can say is I'm glad you don't know much about that, and I'm glad that we live in Japan where
we don't have to get spammed with it all the time. Yeah.
And we don't have to get spammed with the Japanese propaganda machine either. Nicely, it's kind of a nice way to unplug from the matrix. I think, basically, right?
True.
First time I felt that was when I was living in Shanghai, and I can't remember what was going on. It was also an election year, I think, or leading up to an election year. And like, it was funny because like Reddit that morning was like on fire about some latest, political scandal or whatever. And like, I'm just walking down the street in Shanghai, and like, it's a beautiful, sunny winter morning, and like,
you're not having it shoved in your face like that.
Like nothing's wrong. Like no one is bothered at all. Right. Like it's pretty liberating, right? Like it people need to be aware of the cultural layer, and that like it's actually like separate from anything else, right? Like culture is weird because it's seemingly this like arbitrary layer, like this meta programming layer that all it has to be is internally consistent in order for people to accept it, right? But like you can swap one culture for another seemingly with like, I don't know, the same underlying reality still exists. It's just wrapped in a different kind of, I don't know, skin or something.
Right.
Kind of. I don't know. I mean, as I say that, I think of like Sharia law culture or something. And that would be a pretty different reality to live in. But that is, again, still just culture, right? And seemingly it just needs to be internally consistent for people to like accept it.
I don't think it even has to be particularly internally consistent. I just think it has to be widespread and reinforced.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's much most expressions of culture are pretty nonsensical when you get down to it.
Well, that's the thing. They're all nonsensical.
They're all nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all arbitrary, but.
Well, yeah. So that's the vast factory of culture.
I guess you're saying reinforced. I'm saying internally consistent, but kind of pointing to the same thing. I think.
Well, like I kind of wasn't being ironic when I said like probably the CIA has like created more culture than like I don't know, most like musicians or something, or like most.
Who did they back? P. Diddy?
Well, maybe. I mean, it's hard to totally know, but I think I think they're like backing abstract expressionism or something too, like Jackson Pollock or something. The guy that like paints with the Well, because that's another thing where like.
Well, that was like the archetypal, like anyone could have made this thing.
Well, yeah, and once again, I mean Jackson Pollock. I mean, it's not exactly. There's not really much like political content there,
right?
So if you abstract things out enough, then you're not going to have like social realist painting, like like Diego Rivera or something, where he's like actually painting workers doing work, or actual real people that are like engaged in labor, and presumably there's some kind of implication there. If you're painting things which are not entirely maybe pleasant, there may be conclusions to be drawn that the CIA would prefer you didn't draw, right?
Sure.
So and then if you got some dude that comes out and he's like, hey, I just like drip paint in these like crazy fractal patterns and like it's very eye-catching and and then they're like, well, what's your ideology about this? And he's like, I don't even really have one. I'm just, making my art. And they're like, okay, well, we'll give you some money then. Cause you're not thinking anything you we'd rather you didn't.
Well, you need both, I think. Like I there is certainly value. Like I think that sort of abstract art element like points towards some like transcendental nature of reality.
Yeah.
And you need that as well.
Yeah.
Right. But then again, there are also like very real nuts and bolts issues in the reality we live in that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, I think the thing is that like most people, like if you started watching a movie and like if it was like clearly and explicitly like, I don't know, message movie, like I think most people have a very, if they're aware of that in a way that is like quite in your face, then most people are going to have like a negative reaction, which is interesting. But I think the CIA tactic is like sort of trying to conceal that that slant, or that conceal its own take, rather than, you know, maybe being more upfront about it, like this, like the Soviet Union, you know, maybe was, where they're like, you know, create explicitly Soviet art or something, right? And some of that stuff is interesting. I mean, there is like explicitly Soviet like science fiction and, you know, films and other stuff. And yeah, I mean, some of it is certainly interesting and kind of good. You know, again, most people probably feel a little bit weird if there's like a, you know, explicitly pro-Soviet Union, you know, content or something in the middle of the movie or the middle of the book. But I think the CIA approach is maybe just as blatant in a way, but by leaving things out rather than, you know, maybe stressing them or banging the drum or whatever.
Right.
But I think there still is a very clear, don't rock the boat, or you know, don't think too deeply about what's, you know, actually happening, going on there.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been convenient to the power structure, right? You never really want people thinking too deeply. I have a confession to make live on air. I just hit the record button on the video. We're just on video now, but audio is recording, and this is an audio-based medium. So let me quickly sync up here.
Okay. What did we like? Did we like drop out of video or something?
I'm not sure what happened. Might have not hit the record button, or thought I did, but didn't, just in the chaos of trying to orchestrate everything.
So all this time it actually hasn't been recording?
Yeah, the video hasn't been recording, but we're live now, and we're just gonna roll with it. Sorry, folks, if you were, hey, we're here.
I'm sure we'll put up a still image or something
like that. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't matter too much. We're just literally sitting.
Shouldn't really matter talking too much. Yeah,
but I know, does it matter?
We could put up a still image probably, or like some placeholder image.
Yeah, Skibidi toilet, perhaps.
Skibidi toilet. I think our overwhelming real reality had to be censored for various reasons discussed. But yeah, we'll have a placeholder image or something. Probably.
It's kind of a funny thing, but it's funny because we were talking about that earlier about like what's the benefit of watching a podcast, especially where we're not pulling stuff up.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry folks, small glitch in the matrix. Not really.
We'll get back on with more video next time.
Yeah. Yeah, actually exactly on that. Justin's hungry, so yeah, we'll probably hit up Costco. Yeah, thanks, folks. Please leave a comment. Sorry for the lack of video. Hope you enjoyed that. I think that was a good discussion.
Yeah.
I think that might have captured the essence of the Bukuro Boys podcast. Let us know what you think, and have a good week. Peace.
Peace out.